Hello and welcome to Never on the Backfoot. Now, India has registered their first ever win versus Australia in Test cricket. It was undoubtedly historic. In today's review live show, we will discuss that riveting Test match and all the major talking points. Joining us for this discussion is Ashwini. She is an ardent cricket fan, having worked previously with Cricket Tracker, with Women's Cricket Zone, and now with Star Sports. We have an experienced person with us. So, without further ado, we will kickstart our discussion. So Ashwini, I'm pretty sure, I have so much to pick your brains about, because the match has been of that nature, right? Now, India certainly notched up such a special win against Australia. This is their first ever in Test cricket. Anywhere you go, you see this headline blaring right at you. So, what are your first thoughts on that win? And just walk us through that.
It's surreal, Neha. Neha, firstly, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Means a lot. And I was there. It was my I was there moment. I was there when India won the test versus England at the D.Y. Patil Stadium. I was there again to witness the magic at the Wankhede. Just would like to share one thing here. I was there for the Australia-Afghanistan game of the World Cup at Wankhede. I was there covering that game from the press box, and I saw Australian create magic on the field. Glenn Maxwell's 200. So when I came to Wankhede, I felt a little special at another Australia game, and I so wanted that India creates magic here this time around. So that did happen. It's something that I don't think a lot of us can put into words right away because it's special. We haven't beaten Australia in tests. We don't play a test that often as well. So it's very special, one to remember for ages. Our children, grandchildren are going to be very lucky to hear these stories from us, for sure.
Absolutely. And Ashwini, I suppose you're the Zoya factor that's helping India, register these iconic wins. And you always see these landmark moments as well. Now, even putting in perspective this win, right? Now, this is India's second consecutive win after that very delightful win against England earlier in this month, right? Now, India seemingly looks, undefeatable at home in tests. So, a very rare distinction for us to celebrate.
See, we have to celebrate. These are the small things that we cherish in our life. Because I remember the crowd going crazy at the Wankhede as we were getting closer to, scoring those 70 odd runs. We were all getting crazy. We have to celebrate it. To pass the statement that are we not unbeatable at home conditions, it's little earlier to say that right now because we don't play a lot of tests. But of course, when it comes to home conditions, our team made the most of it. That's what we can say for sure, and that was expected of Team India. For last 2 years or so, we've seen Team India put up a very strong fight, no matter what the opponent. We've seen them fight for victory. We've seen the hunger in Harmanpreet Kaur and company. And that hunger, that positivity, that never say die attitude, that's something that the team continued from then to now. So before this live started, we were also discussing about that, Neha, that last time we spoke was when India won that ODI series at Lords, Julian Goswami's last. It was iconic. This is iconic. And that was again the same thing, right? India not giving up despite the odds, when the odds were against them. They were doing this time around, but with a little more domination, that too against the mighty Aussies. So for us, there's a lot to celebrate, and maybe just take the moment, take the time to let it all sink in. It hasn't sunk in yet. It's going to take some time, and that's really obvious.
Definitely. I think we all are, still processing those emotions because that win means a lot, right? But even looking at the kind of start that India had in that test match, like I was in my class and I was just seeing the scores. India was just seven, like, Australia was 7 for 2. We had the perfect start thanks to Pooja Vastrikar, getting those early wickets. So, what did you make of it and the vibes and everything leading up to that?
She was just driving people, yeah, with her passion. Pooja Vastrikar in England tests also, she bowled those brilliant spells. Starting here against Australia, she was wobbling Australia, honestly. And that delivery, that good length ball to get rid of Elise Perry. Now we know what Perry's wicket means to India, right? When it comes to test matches, she's one of the most experienced players from the Australian setup. और अगर वो सेट हो जाते हैं तो we know that she can make a big difference out there. So what a beautiful delivery that was from Pooja to get rid of Elise Perry, and it also reminded us of that wicket of Nat Silverbrunt from the England Test. So if you compare those videos, I saw one video on Twitter as well, both the deliveries and getting those two key wickets out there. So it was a good spell from her. She looked confident, and we were all there chanting "Kaun Hamari superstar Pooja Vastrkar" for sure.
Definitely, she lived up to the billing as well, of getting those early wickets, and she was an absolute delight to watch because having seen her career trajectory, injuries have always hindered her progress. So seeing her in full flow is definitely quite a heartening sight, and I'm pretty sure you can agree with me on that. Now, even when you look at the overall bowling performance, Australia folded for like 219. But do you think that total was somewhere not going to be enough anyways? And you'd actually want to credit the Indian bowlers for the way they were just, going all out and getting those crucial wickets?
Full credit to the Indian bowlers, yeah, because we just came fresh from the victory against England in Test format. Australia were playing; they had come to Mumbai a few days back. They were practicing here as well, but it was a lot about the bowlers because in India has not played as many test matches as Australia. They don't play that frequently. Australia every year plays Ashes. Now that's a competitive tournament for them. They know the vibe of it. They know the competitiveness that comes with it. So it is a big challenge. It was a very big challenge for us to face Australia in the home conditions itself. So the bowlers, of course, they did their job, and that was something that was expected from our bowlers as well. Because, mind you, the Australian batting lineup. I mean, this is something that we've been talking since always. No matter which format, whether it's the ODI format, the T20 format, or the Test format, they bat so deep. Like, yeah. I mean, you can't ask difficult questions to the batters. You'll ask question to one, the other will deliver. There's so many superstars across their batting lineup. Even if they are five down, and you'll still hope that someone will come and do the job for the side. So to wrap up a side like Australia for 219, I mean, that was a top-notch effort from the bowlers, and that's where they, took all the confidence from as well. If you start the first innings a little bit in your favor as well, it gives you that confidence to come again, bat, get that lead, and again in the second innings that you can do that again. So it all starts with that. Day one, pe hi you get rid of Australia all out. It's a big thing for an Indian team who doesn't play tests that frequently. So I think that was full credit to the Indian bowlers, the competitiveness, the character that they displayed on day one. 100%.
Agreed. I mean, it was a monumental effort with the ball because, as you rightly mentioned, the Aussie batting has that reputation of, having their batting depth so, in place that they can threaten any opposition on a given day. Now, just as we thought, arey, itna acha bowling performance tha, we came up and delivered with the bat as well, right? Imagine we piled on 406 on the board. We saw
Exactly.
brilliant knocks by Smriti Mandana. You had Jemima, you had the debutant, Richa Ghosh also delivering, and of course, our ever consistent Deepthi Sharma also, coming to the party with that crucial knock. So, what did you make of this batting performance? And once again, credits to them.
Yeah, so you took a lot of great names out there while asking me that question. Just starting with Smriti, we wanted to see that solid knock from her. It was long in the waiting, and both of them, Smriti and Shafali, they started like quite amazingly for Team India with those quick runs that they gathered. Because unfortunately, Shafali Verma, we lost her wicket on day one before stumps out there. But what a great start from them. I remember that I saw the match, then I took a break. I was in office, and then when I, resumed watching it, India were already 50 runs. I'm like, what? Are we watching ODI cricket out there? So the pace with which both of them started the innings, and it gave confidence to us. यार, we felt like यार अभी तो day one नहीं हुआ है, and हमने ऑस्ट्रेलिया को ऑल आउट कर दिया है. हम आ चुके हैं 65 odd runs भी बन चुके हैं. So big role there from Smriti Mandhana and from Shafali Verma out there. Sneh Rana honestly came and did her job. To stay with Smriti at the other end with the poise she has in her. She did that job, and Jemmy, I mean, I don't have words for the superstar she is. I mean, she's an absolute superstar at whatever age she is right now. She just enhances everything about her batting, not just her batting. You'll see her go to the non strikers end, talk with them, chat with them, probably say that, yeah, take it easy. We are there. We're going to win. The positivity, the matureness that she has in her at this age, she's someone that obviously we all know that she's already reached greater heights in her career, but it's just the start for someone like Javima Rodriguez, back to back 50s. and the debutant. We saw one debutant do magic in the England test as well. Early morning, people don't know who this Satish is, right? And then they are just, I'm quite sure that many of the people, they went and they Googled who this girl is who has scored a 50 on her debut, isn't it? And that's what tells you the uh, talent we have in the domestic level. And then Richa Ghosh in the Australia test, I get to see, I'm going to my office, I read the news that Richa is making her debut, a 50 on debut against Australia, something that's a fairy tale for Richa. I'm quite sure that the whole of India was proud of her, the way she batted long there. So loved the way India carried their batting. It was very important for us to, not lose wickets frequently, because that's the key. Otherwise, we know that at any given point in the game, Australia can make a strong comeback. They are that team. So वो fear to end तक था, to be very honest, even if we had an edge over them in most part of the game. But yeah, against someone, against a formidable unit as that of Australia, scoring a 50 on debut, all credits to Richa Ghosh, and of course, wonderful batting from Team India.
Absolutely, because I think when you set a total up like that, it will obviously, work out well in the end. But I
Yeah.
think one of the concerns was how India could not, pile on, say, a 450 or a 500, but that still doesn't take away from what a great batting
Yeah.
performance it was. And even looking at Australia, right, in their second essay, we saw them end up with like 261. We did see some good partnerships here and there, Alisa Healy, Talia Megra, then Beth Mooney doing her usual stuff. But quite impressive. And I think the biggest talking point has to be like Talia Megra and Elise Perry, right? They really stood out with their batting performances. And I'm pretty sure even you all watching it live must have applauded them for the kind of grit and determination they were showing, because the Indian bowlers were just on top of their game and yet managing to, just play with the conditions, just acclimatize and do their job beautifully.
Yeah, so in the first innings, we saw that Elise Perry couldn't make it big, but we know that she's kind of player that will always come back and show what she's got in her closet for to all of us, and that's what she did, isn't it? T Mac and Elise Perry with that partnership, and I'll tell you this incident. We were all in the stands, we were chanting, and we were like, "Sabko chant kar lo, T Mac se bach ke raho." When if she gets in there, if she obviously the crowd makes a huge difference. It of course affects the way the play is going on there, the vibe that's been created in the ground. So we all knew that, these players, whether it's Beth Mooney, whether it's Elise Perry, whether it's Talia Magra for that matter, they're not gonna not perform in every innings. First innings, it didn't happen for them. Even Beth Mooney scored decent in the first innings as well. And then second innings, of course, we know that unfortunately for her. But yeah, that was crazy, something that was really crazy from Richa Ghosh out there. But of course, we knew that they're going to come back and they're going to fight. And that's the spirit of the Australians, isn't it? Um, of course, I'll just mention it out here. The World Cup final, we saw how Australia came in, the way they started their campaign, and then ended up lifting the trophy there in Ahmedabad. We know what character they are built up, and we know how they can fight back stronger. So of course, it was a Harmanpreet Kaur, a spirited Harmanpreet Kaur, leading her team and showing the world that look, we've got a lot under our sleeves, and come and watch us, and we'll deliver. That's what we saw.
Definitely. And another talking point I'd like to bring is how, many people thought, India is winning the match so easily. The conditions are like dust bowl, it's favoring us. But I think that day three was, an indication of sorts of how the match was not very lopsided in India's favor. It really showed how, Australia is that side that will not get beaten easily. So, how would you assess that, scheme of things and that play during that time?
See, honestly, when there was day four was going on, we all had this thing in mind that Australia are playing for a draw. We all knew that they will probably come in, they'll spend their time, they'll keep on defending the balls, and they're not going to let India win very easily. It's credit to, someone like Rajeshwari Gaikwad, who did not get rewards on day three for her brilliant bowling, but finally she got that wicket on day four of the test match. So that thing is for sure that it wasn't. Of course, India dominated most part of the test match, but there was a little bit in us that was always constantly telling us that hey, the game is not over. Of course, it can be India's win, but you never know with Australia. Even when we were, just chasing those 75, 76, whatever odd runs, even then we were like, 30 run ban jane do, uske baad we'll chant very freely. Uske baad we know that maybe there won't be a lot more hiccups out there for India's chase. We know that, of course, we also bat quite deep, to be honest. If Australia's batting unit is deep, if they have good batters in their unit, and so does we. And we have someone who, just came out of a test victory, high on confidence. But yeah, it was evenly there. I guess the match was pretty much there for both the teams. A good chance of draw for Australia as well. And India, of course, would want to push themselves for a victory, and that's what they did.
And I'm glad actually you bring in this point of how India didn't let complacency creep in, because that can be our biggest enemy when we think, hey, we are in a place of comfort, up to asani se match jeet jayenge. Because chasing a total of 75 can come with its own set of challenges, considering
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
a.
you never know. It's Test cricket. That's the beauty of Test cricket, isn't it? It's not ODIs that you'll quickly score 75 runs and then you go, because it's about the wickets here and there. It's difficult to score those quick runs when it comes to Test bowling. And then Kim Garth, honestly, watching her bowl live, she did start the over on a very high note. She was looking lethal with the ball, Kim Garth. So yeah, that was something that India kept in mind. They did not take it easy. They knew that they've scored 70 odd runs. We have to score it. So of course we had time. We had 2 sessions in front of us. So they took it with ease and everything, and some beautiful cover drives there from Smriti Mandhana. I swear that was beauty. Wonderful.
Absolutely. I was just going to bring that point because India chased down that total of 75 without, much hassle. And we saw like a brilliant knock by Smriti Mandana, absolutely looking calm, even though a wicket fell with, we lost Shefali early on. Yet, you could see that calmness just, translating in her play. So how is it, watching her bat live and, finally getting back into the groove? Because we know Smriti Mandana is that kind of a character. She's so important to the team, and her scoring runs is super important, right?
Very important. And a little bit there are talks about her consistency. We all know that she's a superstar player, and if she gets her rhythm, then it's very difficult to difficult to bowl to Smriti Mandhana. She's a proper cricketer. She has that technique. Watching her bat is beautiful, an experience that you wouldn't forget for a lifetime. And she was very focused. All we could make out watching that game live was she was not going to give her wicket up out there. She was focused. She wanted to finish that game for India. I remember that we were chanting to all the players. We were asking them to wave back at us and everything. Smriti was a tough nut to break, honestly. And we saw that the Indian players were also not sledging a lot, honestly, when the game was going on, at least day one, day two, play then. And fortunately, after the game, we had the opportunity to catch up with Smriti and Jemmy. And Smriti were like, you guys who came to watch the match, you guys were chanting, you guys were sledging the Australians. So we did not have to do that. So there's a different, she's a smart brain, smart cricketing brain, Smriti Mandhana. She notices everything, but she's so focused about her game until the job is done. She knew that she has a big thing to do. She has to get India to the victory line. She was very focused, and again, then we saw what we did, isn't it?
Exactly, because this was one win to savor. We had so many players coming to the fore and actually delivering, which gives you a lot of memories to take away. So, if you had to look at this match from like a bird's eye view, who would be your top performers and any favorite performances that's going to stay with you? I know this is a tricky one.
Very tricky. I mean, it's like favoring a side in WPL. I can't decide my loyalties in WPL. It's so difficult. I'm so happy for each and every cricketer who took the charge of the field in the first edition of the WPL. It's so difficult that ये team के साथ हमारे loyalties रखने हैं. But I know I'll go with Sneh Rana here, honestly, because she's a silent performer. There's something very special about Sneh Rana. She's a fighter. We've seen her come from difficult situations of her life, come and perform for the side. And there's not a lot of conversations or talks or analysis that people do about Sneh Rana. She's a very silent performer. There's an easiness about her. When she's there bowling, I just feel a comfort around her. She knows what she wants to do. She's very focused when it comes to her bowling. Very, ease wala uh, run up in the sense action she has. And Sneh Rana for me makes the difference. She's the top performer for me in this test match. Some 3 wickets in the first innings, I guess, and 4 wickets in the second innings out there as well. So love it, love it. Rana ji just rocked this test match for all of us, and the kind of journey she's had. I think it was only fitting that she performs well in this test match. So that's the big difference for me. I think Sneh Rana is the one that you're going to remember when it comes to this iconic test match that people witnessed at the Wankhede.
Deservingly also, awarded the player of the match for the kind of performance she put in that first innings and second innings. Now, although, all the review shows I've done and all the discourse I've seen around the match, it seems to be dwelling a lot on the positives and, things that actually worked well for India. As a neutral cricket fan, let's just take that stance. And as an expert as well, do you think there are still areas that India needs to perhaps work on a little bit? It could be probably like the slip fielding or even fielding in general. Did you see there was a little like lax, like was it lax there, or any other areas you think India can probably work on?
See, for me in this test match, I feel that India ticked most of the boxes because bowling wise, we wrapped up a team like Australia in 219. So I think that was pretty decent from the side. When it comes to fielding, see, we've improved a lot. We've come a long way when it comes to our fielding. The fitness standard of the side as well. We've seen that it's improved, and we've seen the effort from the entire team in this test match as well, whether it's the run out, that the presence of mind that Richa Ghosh had to do that. I mean, it's huge. It's Beth Mooney did not see that coming. I saw that video like some twice or thrice when I came back home. I was like, she was completely clueless. So that presence of mind for a debutant in at that Wankhede Stadium, playing her first Test match, that was really special. When it comes to bowling, also people knew their jobs. What I felt in this Test match is the role clarity was there for all the players. They knew what they were there for. We knew a certain Renuka was going to start the bowling for the team, and then what was expected from her, because new ball, you know that she's effective with it. Later half of the innings, I think that in the first innings, Deepti Sharma came in a little bit late. They probably could have introduced her a little bit early out there, because when she came in, we saw that the ball was turning a little bit, and those Aussies found it difficult to face Deepti Sharma, and she also got wickets right there. So, all in all, I think it was a really good performance and more positives for Team India to take in from this victory. Then, of course, there would always be some areas that they would want to improve upon. But for now, I guess they ticked most of the boxes in this test match. What do you think about it, honestly?
Agreed. I mean, as you rightly pointed out, when you win in this manner, there's, of course, not a lot of times you'd want to focus on the areas to work on. For me personally, I think it was a little bit to do with the slip fielding. Like, there were a few drop chances here and there. But again, I think it's about frequency, right? We don't have that many matches. And, they wouldn't have that much match practice with the red ball and all of that. So I think that could also be attributed to some of the concerns with the fielding that did come
Right.
in. But I think even in the same line of thought, a lot of this can be credited to our new head coach, right? Amol Majumdar, and the kind of impact he has had on the girls. Like Harmanpreet Kaur, like at the end of the match, I think I saw this on social media. He came in for a handshake and she just went for a hug. And you really know how much that win, meant to her and even the coach. So how do you reckon, his impact has been on the girls, and do you see the effects of it?
So about the coach, see, it's a dream start for him, isn't it? Because winning a test match against England in home soil, and then against Australia, the mighty Aussies, when it comes to not just the women's part of things, even in the men's part of things, we know that Australia is a formidable unit, and they are someone who never give up. So to win a test match, it's a big deal. Because I remember when I was watching the game with my group in the stadium, there were a lot of other people as well who came in. The Garware pavilion was full, honestly. And we were also there, chanting that Dusre stands we kholo, Garware is full. So there were people who turned up. So for a coach, now Amul Majumdar, when it comes to domestic cricket, we know that how much he's contributed, how he's performed. He knows the conditions very well. As a coach, it's just the start for him. But the few decisions here and there, whether it was India, declaring their innings just at the start of the day in the England test as well there. So it is something, I don't know, we can't talk about it as tricks or what it was, or how what the think tank was about it. But I think for Amul Majumdar would mean a lot, because joining the team and then getting those two historic wins under his hat is something that he's going to remember for a very long period of time. He probably has to stay a little bit longer with the team now to shape it up, because it takes time, to gel in, for the coach, for the players to trust each other, to trust the decisions. So there's an important ICC event also coming up for the Indian team. A lot of important matches. Now we have WPL to again see the amazing talent that India has at its grassroots levels as well. So a good start to the assignment, I would say, for the coach. But there's a lot more in store, and I guess we'll talk about it in some time to come. But definitely, I hope, fingers crossed, that it's all positive.
Definitely. And many people are already calling this the Amol ball era that has come in, likening it to the baseball era. So here's hoping, the management also gives him a long rope in case things go south. And, we will see how that will play out as well. And
Correct.
even looking at the general discussions around this match, we see how everyone's like, Arey, India won. Like, so many things worked well in our favor. But let's also focus on Australia, right? Like, a lot of things did not work out well for them. And I think right at the start of the series, we got this notification that it's not going to be a multi-format series, and they're looking at each of the formats in isolation. So Elisa Healy almost said, why would India not want to go in with that advantage of getting 4 points from this test onto the rest of the series. So somewhere, do you think Australia was already going in with the mindset ki, hey, it's going to be challenging conditions for us, it's test match cricket at a venue like Wankhede in India? So do you think that was something that was kind of holding them back, or do you think they actually gave in a good fight and India was just better in the test match?
No doubt India was just better in the test match. That's something that we would want to believe in, and that's what we saw also. Because from a batting unit like that of Australia, you would think that they would perform much better than what we saw of them in this test match. I mean, the Beth Moonies, Alisa Healy's, Elise Perry, Annabelle Settle, and Ashley Gardner, you just name them, right? So there were a few things that did not go in Australia's favor in this match, and so is with England, isn't it? They've seen even the England team was not easy to beat. We can say that it was home conditions, we can say it was good form of the players, but it's an amalgamation of both. And that's where you get results. And in test match, you always have an opportunity to come back and fight. You have another innings. So Australia did have another innings as well to come back stronger, probably give a bigger lead to Team India, and then probably they could have thought of a draw as well. So it didn't work it out in their favor because pitch didn't change a lot, is what I feel when it comes to batting. So if Indian batters performed really well in that conditions, probably Australia, I don't think, took India very lightly. I don't think that coming into India they would think that they have an edge. Whatever may be the history in test matches or in any formats of the game, I think that Alisa Healy and the team were prepared. They know that things have changed since the WPL. All of those players have been here for the WPL. They've seen the Indian conditions somewhere here and there. Of course, DY Patil and Brevon, the matches happened. Wankhede did not host a match, but they know how the crowd can come and cheer them up. They know how the players know their conditions well. So I don't think they took India lightly. It's just that Australia weren't able to tick many of the boxes out there. When it comes to their team combination and everything, Ashley Gardner was the one who was taking the charge of their bowling. She was the most effective of them, bowling what 30 odd overs of the 100 that were bowled that day. So, there were every time we've seen Australia win a game, we've seen that it has been a team effort. Someone from batting has, clicked for them, two, three of the batters, and the bowling has supported them well. It quite didn't happen in this game for Australia. Both the departments didn't come together to bring that victory for them, or to look for a draw, because it was very much possible. If we can think of it, a draw was very much possible. So I think that's where Australia lagged a little bit.
Definitely. I mean, although, they were being that fierce competitors in the match, we could see how there were points, where they just, let go of the match, or they just lost that momentum that did come to eventually bite them back. And I think we have another interesting comment coming here from Sanchit, where, he mentions how brilliant work by the crowd at the Wankhede, loved how the players also enjoyed the vibe created. So that kind of brings me to my next question of, how was your experience of, watching the match live? And I'm pretty sure you have so many stories to say, and even watching your stories on social media and you guys regularly coming on TV itself was like, wow. I was like, hey, I know these people, they're like all my friends. So how would you describe your experience in that sense?
Well, I think it was probably one of my best decisions to take out some time and go at the one today and support Team India and witness this historic victory. I can't put it in words what an experience this was for me. We were chanting our hearts and lungs out for the team. We were, Garware Pavilion is such that, the Australian dugout and the Indian dugout are very close to that. So we were taking names of every single player who was sitting in the Australian dugout, even the management. We managed to, get the names of the Australian dugout management there, the team manager, the physio, and everything. Even the Indian physio, the coach, the players, everybody. We chanted everybody's name, and all were kind enough to give us a wave out there. So we knew that we have to be very aggressive when it comes to our chanting, because you cannot take Australia lightly. So for me to be in that atmosphere, to watch a test match, this was my first test match live, by the way. I mean, England was, of course, the first test match that I saw from a stadium live, and I'm so glad that it was our Indian women's team playing in that test match. It was unreal for me. It was a limited crowd, honestly, some 500 odd people probably on the day 4 and day 3 of it. But the group with which I went in, I promise you guys, it's just going to get better and better. And all the players, even during the England test, Jemima Rodriguez made that effort. She came to the sidelines. She waved at us. She took a picture with us as well. And during the series as well, Australia series as well, at the end of the session when India won that test match, she came to the crowd. She waved at the crowd. So did Harman. The entire team came, and they were literally clapping with us when we were chanting for all the players. So that was very special when they took that, when they all of that group came to us and they were waving at us. I think we all registered those moments in our hearts and our eyes forever. This is something that we are going to share with a lot of people. I mean, when I came back home, my friends came to meet me, and all I could talk about was how I experienced this special moment at the 1K. And I'm so glad I enjoyed it with that bunch of friends that I did go with. So it was surreal. I don't think that I'd be able to put it in proper words, or my words would ever do justice to this feeling. But it was very special. Two of the best weekends of my life so far. My life actually peaked out in December, I would say, with these two victories. 100%.
I think, thank you for sharing those experiences, because, as you were narrating it itself as an ardent cricket fan, I was like, yes, Ashwini's, peaking. And these are core memory stuff, man. Of course, you have players coming and themselves acknowledging the kind of contribution you all did. And even the crowds, when you look at the crowds that attended the match, your stand was very prominent, regularly coming on TV. And you apparently came up with a gang called Bucket Hatters with some very interesting chants, which was also acknowledged by the players. So, talk us through that experience. Like, what is the creativity that goes behind, coming up with these chants? Because for us watching here back at home, we could just like roughly hear what those chants were, but I'm pretty sure the players heard it like crystal clear HD.
You heard it, guys. Bucket Hatters. Remember the name. So this idea just randomly came into our minds that, we were there chanting for Team India, for the players continuously. And the chant credits, honestly, it goes to a few of the members of the Bucket Hat community, if I could say so. Akshay, Parth, and there are a few others who came up with this amazing chants. And we were saying it, of course, we know that the players were hearing, because they were giving us waves, they were waving back at us and everything. But later after the match, as I said before, that we got an opportunity to interact with a few of them. They were literally discussing our chants. So we had a Smriti Mandhana saying that तुम्हारा ना वो वाला chant हमको बहुत अच्छा लगा, क्या मस्त तुम लोग बोल रहे थे. I'm like, it's just worth it for all of us guys. For us who were shouting our lungs and heart out at the Wankhede Stadium out there, for them to come and then say that this one was my favorite chant, this was that. Even Harleen Deol came to us and she said that she really enjoyed, and that we created a vibe at the Wankhede. Smriti Mandhana literally said this ki we did not have to sledge because you guys were sledging the Aussies. So I think that was a big thing for all of us. It was surreal, and it was only fitting that we got an opportunity to interact with them. So I'll take this opportunity to request all of you guys to give all your support to this Bucket Hat gang. I promise you, we are here to support the Indian women's cricket team. We'll go everywhere possible for us. And if you want to join our group, all you have to do is get a bucket hat for yourself and head to our Twitter and Instagram accounts. You'll know where you have to find the bucket hat also there. You have to love the women's game. Come there, shout and chant with us. And I promise that you'll enjoy it and it will be an experience for you that you'll remember for a very long period of time. So here's an opportunity to celebrate the Bucket Hat Gang because I've had the best time of my life with them.
Wow, that was beautifully put, and I'd love to join this bucket hat gang. I mean, beautiful. I mean,
You're
the kind of
welcome.
mindset. Yeah, it was just
100%
amazing.
you're welcome.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch you guys live. I'm pretty sure the players need this kind of support because we've seen how women's cricket is mostly seen as an afterthought in our country, and having such passionate supporters. I'm pretty sure as the number of test matches increase, the number of games increase, you will have crowds thronging the stadiums, and not just one stand, but everyone just echoing the names of these players. So fingers crossed to see brilliant sights like that. But thank you for taking an initiative like that to engage with
So,
that
so
interesting
this
brand idea.
idea just randomly came into our minds, and we are terming Anisha Ghosh as our mom for this because she's like, "Arey yaar, guys, go for it. I'm quite sure that you guys will do well." So yeah, she just sort of encouraged us to start it then and there. And standing on the Churchgate station is what where we thought of starting this group. So immediately Radha, she started. She just made an account on Twitter or on Instagram, and we've been posting the videos of our chants out there, our pictures out there. And our only aim through this is to bring more and more people to watch these games because that's what's going to create a big difference. I have seen games with this crowd, the India Australia last time around when Australia toured here. I've seen the WPL with them, I've seen both the tests with them, and it's an experience that you wouldn't forget in your life. So, this bucket hat gang, I'm quite sure, is going to give you some best moments of your life. And this is our opportunity to support the team because trust me, it really means a lot to the players. A little support also makes a huge difference. We saw the difference being created at the 1K day, and I'm glad that I could be a part of this bucket hat gang to do that. So I just request you guys also to join in us, and you're most welcome, whoever wants to join.
Brilliant stuff. I mean, we will also put links to people who want to join this gang and carry forward this manifesto. Not sounding like a cult there, but
100%.
yeah, I mean, it was really amazing to see you all. And here's hoping, the gang only gets bigger and stronger, and our girls also, give us performances to savor like this. And looking at another interesting facet now, I saw this discussion where a lot of people felt that there should be more test matches. Now, this was just a one off test, but even I am in the school of thought that, we should have like a 2 match or 3 match test series because we saw how Australia played, right? In the first innings, they looked thoda like listless and all, but you could see how they gradually improved in that second innings. Just imagine if this was like an entire series. I think it would be like a competitive one-off, standoff, and then one-all standoff, and then you'd have the third test match that would, come into context to make it this spicy thriller of a series. So, do you believe that we should have, more test matches, say like the series, 2 match or 3 match test series in women's cricket, and that should be the way to go ahead?
I guess that's something that we would all love to witness, isn't it? Because a series decided also if it's evenly placed with one in Australia's bag and another victory in India's bag, and then you have a decider, the test match, day 5. I mean, all of these things are there that we've seen in the men's part of things, and we know the intensity of it. We know how beautiful test cricket gets. We can't forget the iconic test victories that we have witnessed. So, for something like that to be witnessed in the women's part of things, we need a proper context to everything that we're witnessing. Of course, it's a start. Even a one-off test is something that we need to celebrate at this point in time so that we can build things up from here. It took a lot of time for us to experience a WPL, a 5-team tournament. It was long in the coming. We were waiting for it. So probably our efforts as fans, as people working on the sport, it's this opportunity that we can talk about it and make it a big deal, because a test series, a proper 3 test series, is something that's going to show you the character of the players. As you said, that Australia came back stronger. You'll always have another opportunity to fight back. The players will get more opportunities to showcase their skills. It's very difficult to continue your winning momentum when it comes to the longest format of the game. They learn so much. Test cricket, I believe, is the purest format of the game. I enjoyed it like anything. So for the players to sort of build their character, to get the resilience, to get the knack of the format and play it regularly, that's when we'll see actually where we are placed when it comes to all the scheme of things. So obviously there's a process that needs to be followed here, but it can possibly be one of the things that we all are looking forward to, isn't it?
Definitely. And I agree with you in this line of thought that, it's a welcome step in the right direction that we at least have these one off test encounters, because it really shows, right, how there is an intent, there is an initiative that's being taken. But let's see, if we can forward this initiative into something that has more context, a series in that sense. And even taking a step back, right now, when we look at the Indian women's domestic cricket system, do you think it's time we reintroduced our red ball tournaments, have more practice matches, you have your A2s? So even the players are, kind of acclimatized with the conditions. They know what to expect from, a format like tests and everything. So this way we can see even more competition and players much more comfortable in this format.
100%. Neha, we played a test match back in 2021. And after that, we played in 2023. And even after that, we saw our team perform so well against two of the most formidable sides when it comes to women's part of things. So if we are seeing it without any sort of much background, because hardly the players got a few days to practice, to get a knack of this format, to know things about this format, and then come and play. We say that Smriti Mandhana is an experienced test batter. Why? Because she's played 4 or 5 test matches. So it's a little unusual to say this, but this is how it is. And a red ball format series or tournament for the domestic circuit is only going to give you some champion players in the future, because we know that this is a format that tests you in all facets of the game. It tests you. It tests your mentality. It tests your patience, your resilience. It teaches you life in one sense. So to get strong characters to play for you, for Team India in the coming future, no matter what format, it's all in the mind, they say, right? You win in your mind and you win in your life. So test cricket is all about the mind game. It's all about not giving up, winning in your mind. So this is something that would be inherited in the players if a red ball format has been introduced for them. And definitely, as we saw in the WPL, so many names, right? Saika Ishaq, Kashmi Gautam, Tithas Sadhu, and all, after having made their mark in the under 19 tournament. We saw Shweta Sehrawat. All of these names, we are so familiar with them now after one season of the WPL. 10 season, 8 seasons down the line, we're going to have such a strong domestic circuit and domestic players in line for us playing for India. And that's going to only benefit the side. So why not? Let's get a tournament for this, for these girls in the red ball format as well. That's how we'll get them an opportunity to play more in the longest format of the game. And then they'll be more ready to face these opponents. If they can do this with whatever resources they have, if we increase the resources, I'm quite sure that they're going to go and create wonders out there.
Definitely. And I think for a lot of us, Test cricket is like a metaphor for life. We look at it as the purest format, the pinnacle of the sport. So, even for a lot
And
of these aspiring,
it's a little difficult to get crowds to test cricket, mind you, because you say that it's one of the best formats of the game, the best formats of the game. For me and for you, it is. But with this generation who lacks a little bit of patience, if I can say so, they enjoy the T20 format of the game more. The patience to sit at the stadium with the sun over your head and watch the test match, it's something that an ardent cricket passionate fan only can do. So, to bring crowds to test cricket is also a big thing. And watching whatever number of people came in to watch the England and Australia test was so overwhelming. I mean, just people coming to watch the game is special in itself. And if it's test cricket, and if we play more often, we know that it's going to change. If you give the people the opportunity to witness what you're doing, a big role is to be played by you and me also in this, to tell people what we've experienced. That's what I'm also trying to do here, that it's a special experience. We say that Virat Kohli has brought crowds to the test venues. A Harmanpreet Kaur or Smriti Mandhana can also do that. Give them the opportunity. They can very well do that.
certainly, I think you couldn't have put that better, because as media professionals ourselves, we have that role to play, right? To further this conversation that women's Test cricket is here to stay, and it will only better with our support. So here's hoping the authorities are listening to us, and we get to see a lot more Test matches. And what is happening is also brilliant. And even now, just extrapolating on this point you brought in of how age group cricket. Now we have the likes of stars emerging from that under 19 setup. So credits to the BCCI, right? We have like so many levels. You have the under 15, under 17, under 19, under 23, and then you have the A side. So we have a lot of structures in place. Perhaps having a red ball tournament across these levels is going to do a world of good. And Again, looking at it from a bigger perspective now, besides the big three in cricket right now, that's India, Australia, and England, how do we make it a fair playing ground for your other nations, right? You have Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, South Africa, West Indies, and a bunch of these other nations who have not had that opportunity to play test cricket because it's not considered viable, or their cricketing boards do not have those said resources, right? So how do you think we can, do you think the ICC can, step in and make it a fair playground, or like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, correct. So as you rightly mentioned, it has to come in from the higher boards to make an effort to get system into place, isn't it? Of course, the boards have a role to play in it because it goes without saying that it all starts from there, and it depends on, of course, the individual boards what decision they make and everything. But a big effort, big initiative from ICC would definitely be helpful for all the countries to actually, start from somewhere, because a start is what is all needed. Because across formats, of course we talk about the big three here, but across formats also we've seen Bangladesh, we've seen Sri Lanka ask some difficult questions to the likes of England and Australia. We saw it in the World Cup as well. In the ODI World Cup, I remember a game vividly where Bangladesh almost snatched victory against Australia. So who knows what they have in store when it comes to the red ball format also, right? So it's just about the opportunity, and it is something that saying here, talking, we can't make a change out there, but we can only wish and probably make a case for the ICC or for the boards to think about it. And I think, the competitiveness or the sort of character that England, Australia, and India showed in these few days, I think that's gonna create at least a little bit of an impact out there to the world to, regularly let the women play test matches. Because 100%, if you give them an opportunity, you can put systems into place and you only see it grow. So a lot has to be taken care by the boards and of course the ICC as well.
Agreed with you on that. And on a similar vein of thought, do you also think that, having a tournament like the World Test Championship, just taking a leaf out of men's cricket, would actually put a lot of this into play? Because the moment you have a championship to compete for, then you'd see the FTP, putting in these test matches as well. So do you think that can be the next step that can be taken up? So, a lot of other countries besides just the big three also get an opportunity to square off against each other?
We definitely have to take this leave from the men's cricket teams, but we have a tree to build here, Neha, because it's completely a process. We it's a dream to witness a World Test Championship when it comes to women's cricket. It for me, for you, and many out there, it's definitely a dream for all of us. But for that dream to come true, we have a lot of things that need to fall in place. Now, the landscape when it comes to women's cricket, it's completely different, right? As you mentioned rightly, that England, Australia, India plays some test matches. It's like all the other teams are not even in the picture right now. So it's not going to be a fair contest. For it to become a fair contest, we have to go through a lot. We have to witness a lot. But once that happens, I think it's going to be something that another iconic thing in women's cricket, another episode of Never on the Back Foot for us to discuss on that. But I definitely think even Smriti Mandana welcomed this thought of playing World Test Championship before the start of the England Test series. Of course, I mean, I would love to, every fan of test cricket out there would want to see a women's test championship happen in the women's part of things as well. But it's a process, and just the tournament is the end result. There's a big process to follow for all of us. So hopefully we are going into the right direction. Hopefully we're going to see a lot of changes out there, and hopefully it happens soon.
Agreed. If not an immediate thing with a tournament of this nature, perhaps getting the structures in place of having red ball tournaments, having a domestic league, for each of these nations will be of paramount importance. And as optimistic cricket fans, women's cricket fans, we can only hope for the best and see that initiative coming in. And I think earlier you brought in this point of how there's like this one stand where you were watching the match that was very active, and the rest of the stands were just empty, which was not giving a very good image ki अरे बहुत लोग नहीं आए देखने. So what do you think can be done to market and promote women's test cricket even better? And we see how most of the matches are right now just happening in Mumbai. So at some point, do you see it like expand to say other venues? Or do you think it's more of a logistics thing? And can we see intent from BCCI there to expand to other venues, perhaps?
Yeah, intent definitely has to come from them, isn't it? So once that happens, I'm quite sure that people are going to turn to watch these matches, because Garware Pavilion, as I said, that it was full. It was full on day 3, it was full on day 4 as well. Many people had come, and the most beautiful thing that we witnessed were there were kids, there were young girls who were chanting Smriti's name, who were chanting Jenny's name. They're the future of Team India. You have to give them more matches for them to come and watch their heroes play. They're not going to let this opportunity go away, right? So I feel that, of course, if you take a certain WPL also to multiple venues, you'll be able to build a stronger fan base also out of it, right? Because it's a little difficult to travel. I know our friend Radha, she traveled from Ahmedabad for these games. She was giving her exams. Then on the weekends, she would come here to watch the test match, go back again, give her exams, come back again. So that's something that she managed to pull off. Of course, we also have a lot of things. We have our offices, colleges, this, that. We find time. But to travel from a different state altogether to watch a game here, it's difficult to manage a lot of things. Few can be able to do it, few won't. So it's very important that it spreads a little bit for all the fans from different parts of the country to get an opportunity to see this team. And when it comes to promoting it, the broadcasters, the media coverage is very important to sort of create that awareness, to create that branding, to put the proper content out there for the people to know what they're about to witness. It's their role, it's important for them. And at a slightly different level, you and I can also do our job. That's what we did when we were here for the test matches also, constantly tweeting, constantly putting out pictures out there as to how it feels, because you have to have that connect. I'm so fortunate that I worked exclusively on women's cricket for 1 year, and that's honestly the reason why I could relate to a lot of journeys of the cricketers who are playing there. I know for them to reach there what it has taken. Even the WPL was special because of that itself, right? Because we've seen all these players waiting for WPL. While taking interviews, we know how much their eyes would lit up listening to WPL, because we know what IPL has created for the men's cricket. So all of these little things, they mean a lot. And that's the reason why we were there chanting for these players, because we know that it hasn't come easy to any of them. We know that we've been knocked out of the important levels, like whether it's the semi-finals, finals, on so many occasions. Now we've felt that hurt. So to finally get a win against Australia, that too in a test match, it was very special. So I think that there was a little role that we could play there as fans. We went there because we had a little role to play in there by tweeting about it, talking about it, putting out videos, images. We did our part. And as the media and the coverage broadcasting, whoever has those rights, they also have the job to create right awareness about these games, and also of course the boards to manage all of these things very properly, whether it's tickets, to give right information about the tickets, and that too well in time. Because as I said, one of my friends came in from Ahmedabad, so for her to plan out things, she needs to know things in advance. So proper scheduling of these things, the right administration when it comes to tickets out there, where you have to manage the crowd well, because there were people who came in to watch the T20s also at Wankhede. There was crazy crowd at Wankhede. So the management and everything plays a big role, because people remember the experiences, right? They remember what happened the last time they came to watch a women's game. So we see that they obviously the men's matches are not free. So I was very happy when they actually kept a price for the test match. There was 100 rupees for other pavilions, and for a Dilip Veng Sarkar, they kept 200 rupees. We paid and we were happy to pay, because that puts a system in place. And these are the small efforts that we have to take, the media people have to take to create more awareness. And that's how you'll bring more crowds to all the venues to watch our girls in action. And Bucket Hat is doing its obviously job, and you guys also have to do it.
Exactly. And I think this comment also puts things in perspective. Big ups to you and all the content creators out there, who are regularly pumping content about women's cricket, trying to spread this awareness and, getting more fans invested. Because at the end of the day, it's not just a niche thing, right? We want it to become mainstream. We want everyone to, be as excited as they are for a men's game and, have that same enthusiasm.
And we are
So,
witnessing the change. Okay, I overheard someone discussing about Shriyanka Patil when I was watching. I guess we just lost you there. You can hear me, right?
yes, yes, can hear you.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to say, that we did notice the difference. We see things changing, because I overheard someone talking about Shriyanka Patil and discussing her game and watching the test match. I mean, that's a big win for us. if people are sitting and discussing about the budding cricketers, we saw what impact she created in the limited opportunities she got for India, for the RCB as well. So, these are the things that give you pleasure when they are talking about these players. It's changing. It's going to change. It's going to just get better. But yeah, we have to play our roles.
Definitely, and as much as we have spoken about this, I do believe there are a lot of positive changes that's happening. It's just a matter of time. So fingers crossed to see all those amazing changes happening, and we see some brilliant milestones in women's cricket also being breached. And just today, actually, a few hours back, we saw the announcement of India squads for the ODI and T20 series that await us. So, what are your thoughts on the squads announced, especially the ODI squad? Saw some very interesting inclusions and exclusions as well. We've seen how there is this sort of mismanagement with the selections. So, what did you make of it? And yeah, thoughts on that?
Extremely happy with the comeback of Renuka Singh Thakur. She wasn't there for the Bangladesh tour. So she's a vital, vital part of Team India. When it comes to the new ball and when she creates that magic, the conditions help her out. In the power play, you can just trust on Renuka to get you those early breakthroughs. And when it comes to Australia, you have to stop them early on. You just can't risk with them when it comes to the ODI format of the game. They are the defending champions of the ODI World Cup, so as the shortest format of the game. So it's very important for us that Renuka Singh Thakur is back into the setup, and Richa Ghosh as well. We've seen Richa Ghosh would be high on confidence right now with the wonderful debut that she's made for herself at the test matches. So these two inclusions, I feel, are a big, big, big positive for Team India. A little word on Rajeshwari Gaikwad as well. Maybe she could have made it to the 50 over format of the game, because we know that she's an experienced spinner. And when it comes to a formidable unit like that of Australia, you need experience there. When it comes to her economy, it's very decent. Rajeshwari Gaikwad's economy as well. And we saw that she bowled brilliant spells in the test match as well. So probably we could have seen a Rajeshwari Gaikwad in this ODI squad. What do you think of it?
Agreed with you on that. And even now seeing the likes of Sneh Rana not getting selected, I was a little sad, man. I was like, some sort of recency bias could have played in here, because we've seen she's in that great form. There is momentum coming in. But
Right.
having said that, you still have the likes of Shreyanka Patil, Saika Ishak, and Manat Kashyap who've been included. So we see like there's a formidable core that's being built. And I think opportunities like this will give them a lot of confidence. Hey, the selectors trust me, the team management has faith
Surely.
in my abilities. So I still feel bad for the ones who are not selected, but at least the ones who have gotten the nod can utilize this opportunity and definitely make it big. And even as we reach the end of our discussion, Ashwini, what are your predictions for the ODI and T20 series? Because Australia is that kind of unit that's not going to let things just slide, and they are going to be the tough competitors. They've given us enough heartbreaks in the recent past and before as well. So are you going in with a fresh mindset ki ha test ko ho gaya, but now we are going in with this approach ki we'll take each match as it comes and play it out that way?
Do you want my mind and heart to be on the same page while answering this?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's little difficult, because mind will always say that it's going to be very tough for Team India, because as you said, are we leaving behind the test victory? We have to. That's the beauty of cricket, isn't it? When you come back, you start from zero. It's a great leveler. So whatever has happened. Probably वो बोलते हैं ना जख्मी शेर और भी ज्यादा भयानक होता है. It's kind of that thing for Australia right now. Alisa Healy and side would be raring to face India in the white ball series. It's going to be competitive, I would say. When it comes to T20s, I think Australia has a little bit of edge there, I think. But ODIs, I feel it's going to be amazing contest. I can't right now decide who has an edge over there, because both the teams are, Australia has always been in good form. And India looks very confident coming in from these two test victories. The players would be high on confidence as well. So I feel it's going to be a great contest. It's not probably hopefully not going to be easy for any teams. I don't think that we'd get to see a one-sided game, and that would be only fitting after these two historic victories. But yeah, I'd say Australia is going to win one of the series for sure, whether it's ODIs or T20Is. But yeah, let's see. I think it's going to be tough for Team India to dominate the proceedings, but I hope they do.
Yeah, I think I echo a similar sentiment here because in T20s we've often seen how India adopts a very conservative approach. So it depends a lot on the playing 11, the kind of combination they choose that could actually produce those results. But I think the ODIs will be like a more like fairly contested
Yeah.
set of matches we will see. And will we see you in the stands watching these matches live anytime?
I hope. I just am calculating my schedules according to that because during this test matches also I had to start at 7 a.m. from my home, go and watch the match, 2 sessions, then go back to office, come back to home. So it's been tough. I'll try my best because the timings are not little that would fit into my scheme of things, but I'm going to try. But the bucket hatters are going to be there. So you better guys, you join them because it's going to be fun. They're not letting any game just be a boring one. With all the chance, they'll be there supporting Team India. Of course, all of us wouldn't be there for all of the games, but few people from this gang is going to be there at the Wankhede and DY Patil Stadium. So make sure that you join them. I'm going to try my best. And hopefully, Neha, you also make it. Try it. Long way
Yeah.
from Bangalore.
Yeah, I mean, my support is always there for the girls. If not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
live in the stadium, always doing content on it, just watching them live. But yeah, this is an open appeal to the our other viewers to join the Bucket Hat Gang that's doing brilliant stuff, and Ashwini in her journey as well.
and you know where to grab your bucket hats from. Just read our bio, our Twitter bio for that.
Yes. And yeah, that pretty much does conclude our discussion, Ashwini. I didn't even realize it's almost 1 hour in this stream. We
Yeah.
literally spoke our hearts out, and I'm sure our viewers could also resonate with that. So yeah, thank you so much, Ashwini, for taking time off your busy schedule. I know you had a long day, yet you made time for Never on the Back Foot and shared some lovely insights. I actually wanted to invite you on the podcast. Having seen your social media buzz around this matter, I was like, yes, I have to get Ashwini on board, and it was a very spontaneous decision that eventually ended up working out well, thereby producing this very special episode on YouTube. So thank you so much for that, and we'll keep our support for women's cricket alive, and our conversations will always stand the test of time. So thank you so much, Ashwini. We will hopefully have you in more live shows like this and on the audio podcast. So until next time, stay safe and take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you so much for having me. Means a lot.
Cheers.